is your shit. Need a horn in the drum roll. Turn up, yeah!
I never talk to them boys that sit on them benches. I never talk to them boys that sit on them benches. I was in the game on 4th inches.
Now it's time to go to work.
What is going on, Florida State family? Seminole Nation and the 863 tribe. So when I scheduled this, didn't know Verse was going to be announcing his decision. He had delayed the process for a while. It was supposed to be Wednesday. That passed. Then Thursday came and it passed. And just so happened, right around the time I chose to do it, here we are. And we got him. So I decided to do, again, this is before Verse, but I decided to do a little Friday live stream with y'all. And I want you guys to take a long look at the surroundings. This may very well be the last time you see this backdrop here. We got some stuff. I'm making some moves. It's gonna be a while before I'm in a like a studio. This isn't a studio, or this is my room. Or a room. Not my room, a room. But it's gonna be a while before we're in this type of setting again. I'll still be doing videos, but I'll be on the move a little bit. So just take a good look. It's probably the last time you'll see Peter Warwick and the flag back there. So there's some changes coming, don't worry. But that doesn't mean I'm going anywhere. We're going to be right here talking about stuff like what happened today and what happened this week. Because we also got a big-time linebacker that I haven't given my thoughts on yet. Then we just got Jared Verse. I got to give my thoughts on that. Portal ain't even done yet. I think there's some things to be happy about. But as always, before we get started, hit that like button. If you're new here, subscribe to the channel. And as always, share those videos. That's how we continue to grow this good old 863 tribe, is to share these videos and get the word out there that we out here, man. That we are out here. So hit that like button. And again, if you're new here, subscribe. If you're not new here and you haven't subscribed, I mean, why not subscribe today? Let me take a sip. Now, I see the chat jumping. Let's hit this roll call. And like the title of the video says, man, let's get into some transfer portal talk and much more. But before we do all that, I think somebody just rang my doorbell. Who that was? Let my woman get it. But before we get started, let's hit this roll call. Priscilla Chestnut. Tyler Hedden, member of the 863 tribe. Ronald Torado. Brandon B. Marcus Lewis. Jeffrey Bell. Jacob Talbert. Nicholas Johns. Mason Rushing. Jamal M. Peter Shields, a member of the 863 tribe. Gabriel. FSU Rose, member of the 863 tribe. Jeff Hill, member of the 863 tribe. Black Shear, Marcus Lewis, Charmy, Jen, Briley, VJ, EMG, Groit, Florida State Love, Jadon, Mayan King, Boxing Monster, BB, Chris G, Rock Jersey, De'Aaron, D. Thompson. We all here in the building on this Friday night. What is going on? We got Jared Verse. I'm going to give my take on Jared Verse in a little bit. Just a little bit. My take on Jared Verse might even surprise some of you guys. But I want to talk about the linebacker we got. I mean, what's bigger? Corey Hall in the building. What's bigger, this Jared Verse or this linebacker? I don't know. It's kind of tough. I think I know. I don't know what you guys think. But we landed a linebacker. And by the way, for everybody, for those who complained about production, we were signing all these wide receivers, and they ain't got no production. Well, we just got a linebacker out of UCF by way of Miami, Florida, with a ton of production at the collegiate level. Tatum Bethune, I think, as of right now, we're strictly talking about portal guys. Whew. I find it hard. Between him and Caden Lyles, man, those are the two biggest instant impact portal guys I think we've gotten so far. Bethune and Caden Lyles might be a toss-up, but a part of me thinks Bethune might be even a little bit more of an important piece. Because Maurice Smith is, at least he is decent. Like, we all think Maurice Smith is a good player, just very undersized, and that stuff started to get exploited by the end of the year. Whereas, Caden Lyles, he's not undersized, and he's going to really anchor what I believe will be a very much improved offensive line. But, man, Bethune takes DJ Lundy off the field. And now you're able to use DJ Lundy, who is still a valuable piece. He's still a valuable piece. But now you get to use him in specific spots. And whatever the situation dictates, a third and short, you throw DJ Lundy in there. So goal line situations, you throw Lundy in there, maybe. But now, Bethune and Deloach, you got two guys who can run sideline to sideline, man. Some people were asking, is he a Mike? Is he a Will? It really doesn't matter. It don't really even matter. I think he's going to be your Mike, and they're going to play Deloach at that weak side, or Will, as they say. And then you still got Gaynor at that weird position that I still quite don't understand what it is, but he's there. Now you get to bump Lundy down the mix. Now you don't have to worry about Steven Dix being on the field. We'll see where Brandon Gant falls in the 2-deep rotation at linebacker, where Jadarius Green McKnight. But Bethune, in my opinion, is between him and Caden Lyles, you can make a argument for either or, in my opinion. But as of right now, he is. We needed a linebacker, guys. We needed linebackers. We didn't recruit any. We recruited Omar Graham. I think Omar Graham's a good player, underrated player. But did we want to really force him out there in year one? Probably not. Well, Bethune, he seals that line. If Kalen DeLoach would have had Emmett Rice, Bethune, to me, is probably a better version of Emmett Rice. But the linebacker position would have been so much more better if we would have just had at least Emmett Rice out there last year. So if Bethune can be Emmett Rice level, which I believe he will be at least Emmett Rice level, I feel a lot better about our linebacking core, man. I feel a lot better about our linebacking core. And what does that say? Remember, guys, I said this when I was in Orlando, and I was talking about the transfer wide receivers. I made this very quick. I made this very point. I said, if Randy Shannon is worth anything, they made this move, right? They Marv went to Virginia Tech to be the defensive coordinator. They promoted Randy Shannon, linebacker coach / co-OC. I said, what did I say? I said, if Randy Shannon is worth anything, there's no reason why he shouldn't land Bethune. Randy pulled it off. Got to give him his credit. As far as I'm concerned, he's doing more than Marv did in his time here. We'll see what he pulls on the trail. But when you're a guy like Randy Shannon, you previously recruited this guy to UCF, you get a second chance to get him to Florida State at a major position of need, and he didn't whiff on it. I'm just happy to see a coach not finally whiff on a prospect. Speaking of whiffing on a prospect, is anybody surprised Jordan Eubanks hit the portal? Because I'm not. I only told you guys from the jump he wasn't an FSU quality football player. And I had people telling me, give him a chance. Jordan Eubanks never played a down here, and he hit the portal. There's a reason why. Speaking of Randy Shannon, I believe a conversation took place of, you don't quite fit the mold here, son. I know that the last guy recruited you, but you don't quite fit this mold. Anybody surprised about that? Because I'm not. If anybody shocked about Jordan Eubanks, I was telling y'all about Eubanks from the jump. If they didn't need Lundy would probably be on the way out too. But they're losing too much depth at linebacker. So they kind of need Lundy there. And to be fair to Lundy, I actually think he is plays hard, is an intelligent football player. I just don't think he has the athleticism in today's football to be an every down linebacker. So to Lundy's credit, he's still a usable piece. But if we had more depth, I think Lundy'd be out the door too, because he's another one that if I'm Randy, hey, coming off his son, we got to have a conversation, man. We got to have a little bit of a conversation. So that's our linebacker conversation. So before we move on to the big news that just happened, 10, 15, 20 minutes ago, I think Bethune becomes the biggest guy. The biggest get you've gotten so far is neck and neck between him and Caden Lyles, in my opinion. I think those two guys are the big gets as of right now. And, of course, Eubanks is in the portal, as I said, and that should be a shocker to nobody if you listen to me. If you listen to other guys, maybe they were higher on Eubanks than me. But if you listen to me, you know my thoughts on Eubanks from the jump. But let's get to the comment section and see what you guys. 90 people in here, man. Let me check these likes. See, before I even get to the comments, I ain't going to read your comments until I check these likes because y'all do me like this sometimes. Y'all come in here, be 115 people in here, and 20 likes. So we're not going to do that today. Let's check these likes first. Come on, YouTube. See what I'm saying? 93 people, 43 likes. I got 93 people. I should at least have 80 of y'all should be diehard supporters. So we should have at least 80 likes. The other 10 or 13, they can be haters or they just, like looking at me. But at least let's get these likes up to 80. Get these likes up to 80. But anyways, Nicholas John says, dude had 108 tackles last season, led UCF in tackles. Sure did. Bethune was more important, but Verse is going to be very valuable. I'll talk about Verse here in a second. He inside or outside. I don't know if you're asking or telling. I think it could be either or for you, honestly, but I think they will use him inside. Verse is huge get, though. So much time for him to become a legit 5-star and a power 5 end. Sorry. Like I said, I will talk about Verse here in a second. Linebacker is bigger because of how poor the linebackers have been. He's a will, said Marcus Lewis. I love all our signees so far. Can't complain. All look like they can ball. What up, Chad? How you doing? We still running the 4-2-5? Yep, still running that. I said if Randy didn't pull Bethune, then that would be telling. Randy locked it up quick. That's what I was saying, Tyler. That's what I was saying. Kane Zay, how you doing? I like the verse pickup dude from Albany. Pope, what would it do, dog pound? Happy Friday to you, Mr. H. Well, what grade would you give the staff so far in the portal? I'll get to that too, Marcus. I'll get to that. Hit that like button. Eubanks has bad film. Don't understand that tank. He wasn't even good. That was always my thing. You watch him in high school, and it was like, okay. That was always my thing with Eubanks. So again, this is nothing personal against Eubanks. I'm only talking about the football player. Pretty sure he's a great kid, and he may find a home out there somewhere. But I'm just simply talking about him, the football player. Again, should have never been here. Should have never been here. No surprise, Eubanks was thinking he was gonna. If he thought he was getting on the field in 2022, there's a reason why he hit the portal. That's exactly why he hit the portal. My favorite player. Man, leave Eubanks alone. Eubanks and Gross are. That's Kobe Gross is another one. I don't see where he fits on this team, but we'll see. Seminole Firewater, what it do? I give Marv credit for developing the Loach and also pulling Omar Graham. I think Omar Graham, I'm not saying Marv didn't recruit him, but I think Sabbath Joseph, who's another guy we should give credit to for Bethune, but I think Sabbath Joseph, from that Miami area had a lot to do with Omar Graham. Lundy is a thumper, but it doesn't matter if you can't catch your target. Doesn't matter if you can't catch your target. Yeah, exactly. You can't put him on the edge, Lundy. No, you can't. Hell, you damn near can't put him in the middle of your defense either. Verse is a better player than Bethune and Lyles. Yeah, we'll talk about that here in a second. Kerry Watkins was good with you. Let's go. Hopefully a better FCS transfer than Cushney. Like I said, we're going to talk about Verse right after I get done with these comments. Jeff put the $5. Don't know, says Norvell and coaching staff. He's been attacking the portal hard. Do some pieces we might need, but I like what we got. Shout out to Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
Wanda, how are you doing? Tell him again, Mine. Get the likes up. $20 donation from Myron says, gave you some cash and a like. Love the show. Want the Jameis dancing clip? Man, for $20, you can get whatever clip you want, homie. Matter of fact, you get 2 clips. I'm giving you Jameis. And you getting P-Dub.
Yeah, more money. Yeah, more money.
And as a matter of fact, just since the anniversary just passed, you getting Jameis to Benjamin.
Clickety clank, the money goes into my piggy bank.
Shout out to Myron, man. Shout out to Myron. Remy VSOP at 1738. I like both, but if I had to pick between those two, that's the answer. Hurricane Speed says, hit that like button. Appreciate you. We in the building. Zoe, what's popping with you? Hey, when you put your emotions to the side, I mean, it happened. We moved on. Bro, still building. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about Coleman, but nah. FSU Tony was good. He said, I guess Odell got it done. I guess he did, even though I'm not trying to take any credit from Coach Hagans. Who did Jared Verse at in his commitment? It wasn't Odell. I'll let you answer the question. Montre, what's up? Okay, I'm speeding through some of these comments so we can get to the next topic. I ain't buying the. Like I said, I'll talk about Coleman, but I ain't buying that up. VJ says, with us landing Verse, do you think we still try to land Tyler Barron? He hit the portal out of Tennessee yesterday. And if you haven't noted, I'm glad you brought that up, VJ. That same young man, Barron, has withdrawn his name. I don't think it's a coincidence. I think Tennessee got a I would say about an hour, 2 hours ago. That same young man you're talking about withdrew from the portal about an hour 30 minutes ago, somewhere around there. At that same time, and then I would say about 30 minutes or 45 minutes later, Verse said he had made his decision, which I believe he informed Tennessee I think he informed Tennessee around that time. I think Tennessee informed Barron like, yo, Verse ain't coming. Barron said, okay, cool, Verse ain't coming. Which I don't really understand for DNs. He can play alongside Verse, but that's neither here nor there. I don't know what they're doing over there at Tennessee anyway. I think Tennessee reached back out to Barron. Barron withdrew his name from the portal all up until the point where Verse just committed. So that's really what happened there. Any portal QBs? I don't think so. I don't think they'll really look at the portal QBs until after spring. Yes, sir. Anytime. No, I already talked about that. Honestly, I don't see 6 losses on that schedule, but I know a lot of people do. I don't. So, your girlfriend leaves you thinking the grass is greener with the next dude. Hey, we're gonna talk about some Purdy tonight. Like I said, we got a bunch of transfer portal talk to talk about tonight. So I'm glad you guys bringing that stuff. Shout out to Groit with the $9.99 or $10. What other position would you like to see us fill from the portal? I wouldn't mind with Jamie coming back. I think we don't really need to add another DB with Jamie coming back. I wouldn't mind another linebacker if the right one were to emerge. I wouldn't mind a defensive tackle even though I like I think Jarrett Jackson and Malcolm Ray, but we don't know if Fabian Lovett's coming back, right? Especially if Fabian Lovett leaves. I would not mind a defensive tackle out of the portal. We know they're actively looking for another wide receiver. So there's a thing right there. And of course, quarterback's kind of always going to be there. But shout out to Groit with the $10. Which one do I want to give you? Let's give you this one. Damn! Purdy's coming back. Tyler says Love is coming back. He hasn't announced yet, though. Let's do it, man. Jarrett Verse. Shout out to Jarrett Verse. I forgot about offensive tackle. Shout out to Tyler. I actually forgot. Offensive tackle. I can't even believe I forgot that, but definitely offensive tackle. So we talked about Bethune early in the week. Here comes Friday, and we land Jarrett Verse. Now, my take on Jarrett Verse is a little bit different than a lot of people's, man. Let me be very clear with what I'm about to say. I like that we got him. He has what I'm gonna talk about what he has and what I think people are kind of Ray Fitty, what's up? People are kind of what's the word? Exacerbating or like pumping up. What he has is a ton of eligibility, still 3 years. He's still a developmental player, but he has all the measurables and he looks like a Power 5 player. He has measurables, size, length, still got room on his frame to fill out. Had a good production at Albany. It is Albany, but he had good production, so it's not like he was just a guy. He was the guy. That's what I like about him. He's going to come in. He's going to compete. But this is where I'm gonna start maybe angering some people because I've heard this and I don't believe this. I do not believe Verse comes in and is the best defensive end on the roster. Sorry, I do not. As a matter of fact, you're going to have a hard time convincing me that if I didn't put Quayshawn Fuller or Derek McClendon on those Albany teams, they wouldn't have had similar production. The good thing about Jared Verse, again, is all that stuff I just said. He's still developing. He has a lot of room to development. Getting Jared Verse in a lot of ways is really like getting a high school kid who played in maybe a tougher high school league than, being Albany, being a tougher than a lot of these players, tougher than a lot of these high school kids. You know what I mean? So let me put it to you like this, and this isn't a direct comparison, but let me put it out there and so you guys can get what I'm trying to say. Who do you think faced tougher, stiffer competition on a week-to-week basis? Not just there maybe some specific games, but on a week-to-week basis, do you think Marvin Jones Jr. at Plantation, at Heritage, or Jared Verse? Why do I ask that question? Because they are essentially very similar in terms of we don't know. Marvin has a ton of upside. I think Jared Verse has a ton of upside. The only difference between the two is Jared Verse has a little bit of college production and probably has played a little bit stiffer competition on a weekly basis. So you can look at Plantation and say, well, they played IMG, and we know IMG's got a top O-line. I mean, all of IMG's O-line commitments go to Power 5 schools wholeheartedly. What did Marvin Jones Jr. do against IMG in that game? I think he might have sacked Duffy once, maybe. So that's what I'm kind of pointing out here. That is the positive about Verse, is that he's essentially a high school kid with 3 years of eligibility, but he's been in a college-ish level program around some stiffer competition. And so his development might be a little bit further along, but he's still very raw with a ton of potential. And he comes in and gives you an instant body he's going to push the guys that I mentioned, Derek McClendon and Quayshawn Fuller and, Patrick Payton, who I think is going to be in the mix there, So that's me. He's going to push those guys. But again, this is where I go off on what a lot of people are telling y'all. In my opinion, he does not come in and is instantly the best guy on the roster. I think that is, let me tell you, Jared Verse is not Keir Thomas. He's damn sure not Jermaine Johnson. Okay, those guys were 4-5 year Power 5. Now, Jermaine went to a JUCO, but he went to Georgia for 2 years. Keir was at South Carolina for those guys, but those guys were grown men. Keir Thomas and Jermaine Johnson came here as grown men. Jared Verse is far from that. I like Jared Verse. I think this was a good get. But let me be very clear. I haven't really talked about Jared Verse really up until this point. A little bit I have if you go check some of the other videos, but I haven't talked a lot about him. Let me be clear about Verse. I did not think he was a can't-miss prospect that a lot of people were kind of pinning him out to be. That's just my whole humble opinion there. I was very much well prepared tonight if we missed out on Verse to say, Now I know people would have said, oh, you're only saying that because we didn't get him. Well, guess what? We got him, and I'm still telling y'all what I was going to tell y'all if we didn't get him. I don't think Verse was can't miss. I love the potential. But that's all that is. Potential gets a lot of people fired. He still has room to grow and develop. So we'll see what happens. I think he's a different caliber of player than Marcus Cushney, to be fair. He's bigger and longer than Cushney. Verse looks like a Division I prospect. Don't get me wrong. He looks like a Power 5 prospect, in my whole humble opinion. But again, people are building him as if he is already developed, come in, instant impact guy. He might win the starting job, but I think Quayshawn Fuller and Derek McClendon are going to have a lot to say about that. And again, if you can't really convince me, if I put either one of those guys on Albany's team last year, they don't have the very similar production that Jerry Verse had. You really can't convince me of that. So maybe my take on Verse isn't what a lot of people would like to hear. And might sound like that I'm not high on him. It's not that I'm not high on him or I don't like him. I'm here to temper people's expectations. The same way I told y'all, if you think Micah Pittman is coming in to be wide receiver number 1, you're wrong and you're going to be disappointed. It's the same thing I'm going to say here about Verse. He is a great get, depth, all of that. And if he turns out to be the goods, I'll be gladly sitting here eating crow and saying, damn, I was wrong about Verse. He's the real deal. But as of right now, I do not believe Verse is by far, like people are saying, the number 1 guy in that DN room. I do not. Let's get to the comments. That's a bold statement. Now, I think Shamar Stewart is a damn good player, but you said the most NFL-ready DN since Clowney. I don't know, man. You might want to check. There's this guy that was named Myles Garrett since Clowney. There's been some guys there, homie. I know y'all are hoping, Shamar comes. But yeah, there's been some guys. Chase Young, like there's been some guys since Clowney. I don't know if Shamar Stewart's that. If I'm being honest with you, I don't think Shamar Stewart is in the Clowney or Myles Garrett stratosphere. It doesn't mean he's not a good player. I think Shamar Stewart's a damn good player. But high praise there, Keynes. High praise there. I'm not high on Verse. Marcus Cushney ruined it for me. I'm not expecting him to be a starter, just a rotation guy for now. Verse is really fast. No power. How you doing? I think he takes a year to get fully acclimated to this level. But that's the thing, Tyler. That is good, reasonable, logical thought process, Tyler. Absolutely. The notion that an Albany kid is going to come into FSU and the ACC and be Keir Thomas or Jermaine Johnson, I think is a bit ridiculous, but that's what's being built here by a lot of outlets and other people. Good logical thinking. Be a part of the rotation year 1. By year 2, be ready to strap up and dominate. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ardavius beat me to it. You guys know Ardavius beat me to it. You ever heard a guy named Myles Garrett? Again, I don't think he's in either one of those guys' category. The defense finished 66. Brandon says, preach. I don't expect Verse to come in and dominate like JJ did, but he will be definitely. Jason, I'm not saying he won't be a quality D lineman. I think he's a better player than Marcus Cushney was. I wholeheartedly believe that. I think he has better tools, better athlete than Marcus Cushney was. It remains to be seen what he can do at this level because the talent level at Albany is, well, we all know. Carrie says, yep. You think Leonard Warner is going to make it? I don't even want to finish reading that. To be fair to Leonard Warner, man, he's rehabbed. If he can give you some valuable snaps at the end or wherever they decide to put him, hey, I'm not rooting against Leonard Warner. If he can come in and make an impact. The moment you get him on the field and he looks like the Leonard Warner we saw 2-3 years ago, that should be the end of the Leonard Warner story at Florida State. I think he's a good player. He was trending in the right direction. Then he had an injury last year. In a lot of ways, I'm not so sure Verse is, if that NC State kid doesn't have an injury last year, maybe he's the number 1 DN in the portal. I don't know. And his first year of production was at the ACC level. So, we'll see. but totally different than Cushney. For starters, Cushney didn't have the build. His success was all motor against inferior talent. I agree with that. Again, like I said, he's a better prospect than Cushney for sure. And Verse looks the part. Like Briley said here, Cushney didn't have the build. Verse is 6'4", 6'5", 245, 250, long arms. He looks the part. Cushney was what, 6'2", 230. So yeah, definitely different prospects there. I agree with you, Briley. He's got a full offseason to get there. I think he starts, but I don't expect Keir Thomas levels of production year one. What's up, Jay? Nana Warner can't be serious. Till Dog says, I'm back after the self-imposed punishment. After putting too many good people in timeout, I exercise a bit more restraint. Well, thank you, Till Dog. Leonard Warner better not touch the field. There's not a high school kid that's ever existed that's been NFL ready year one. But again, I think Shamar is legit. But it has more to do with just being 6'6", 270. How much of his 270 is baby fat? And even with that 270, he don't have his man strength yet. He can be 6'6", 270 all he wants. Once an NFL tackle gets a hold of him, he ain't going anywhere. There's levels to this game. Now, I don't agree with this. Cushney did that, but again, versus a better player. I don't agree with that. That's fair, TK. That's fair. He says the same way I'm talking about Verse is the same way he feels about Johnny Wilson. Okay, that's a fair. Obviously, two different positions there, but Johnny 6'7", 230, with not a ton of production, but you see the size, like it's there. He has, you see that. I think similar. Okay, I got it. What up, Kusami? I'll take Johnny Wilson on a jump ball over, of course, and that's the thing. That's the thing about Johnny. Like, and Zoe kind of hit it there. Like, I get what you were saying, TK. But at the end of the day, when you look at the receiver room, it's not the same as looking at the DN room. In my opinion, Verse is coming in, and he's going to have some stiff competition at defensive end. Again, I do not think that Verse just comes in. I'm not saying he won't be the starter, but I don't think he just walks in and becomes the starter. Like Jermaine walked in and everybody knew, yeah, that's the guy. I don't think that so much about Verse. Quayshawn Fuller and Derek McClendon aren't just going to give Verse the starting spot. And again, I keep saying, I think Patrick Payton's in one of those starting spots by the end of the year. Y'all keep sleeping on Patrick Payton if you want to. So, but when you talk about Johnny Wilson, like Zoe just said, he ain't got no competition. You can say what you want about that kid. In the red zone, who do you want them throwing the back shoulder fade to, or the back corner? Keyshawn Helton, or Ontario Wilson, or Johnny Wilson? So, Wilson is Warren Thompson just taller. Well, Warren Thompson, once he left Florida State, actually had success over there at Arkansas. So if you're telling me that that's how that situation plays out, I'll take it. What up, Slim Shady? What's up, AR10? No, he's definitely not that. He's definitely not that. Let them know. Like I said, Verse ain't just gonna come in and take spots like that. It's gonna be a competition. Competition is amazing. Competition breeds success. So I love that about Verse too. He's coming in and he's gonna be an instant guy that's gonna compete. But again, ain't nothing set in stone. there for Jared Verse? Well, TK, let's talk about that. You seem very obsessed. Well, I'm not gonna say obsessed, but you seem very adamant that you are not high on Wilson. Check Kelvin Benjamin's first 2 years at Florida State. Redshirted year one was minimal. Year two at best, his redshirt freshman year with EJ. First half of the season had a catch here or there. Kelvin Benjamin didn't really put it all together until the second half of the championship run. And even then, since we're talking about Johnny Wilson can't catch, I want you to go back and watch Kelvin Benjamin. How many stupid drops he would have because lack of concentration. Kelvin Benjamin probably should have had 300 yards against Florida, but he dropped 5 or 6 passes. Absolutely dominated them with all the drops. There's a lot of similarities between Johnny Wilson's start and Kelvin Benjamin's start. We'll see how it ends up. Obviously, Johnny Wilson won't be playing with Jameis Winston, but a lot of similarities there. McLean. Maiden Day, what's good with you? Well, we ain't seen him. We ain't really, I mean, we talked about Deloach. Do we give Randy any credit for Deloach? Because Marv had him year one, and we didn't even see Deloach on the field year one. Year two, Randy's a part of the defense, and Deloach took a step forward. We'll see what Randy Shannon can do with the linebackers. We haven't seen it yet. And even if Adrian Peterson was ready out of high school, if he would have went straight to the NFL, he probably would have had a 4-year career. Briggs, we ain't even talked about Briggs, even though I think it might benefit Florida State to keep Briggs on the inside. But Briggs is definitely an option to move on the outside too. Kilo, what's up? Let me catch up a little bit. Patrick Payton too little. Have you seen recent pictures of Patrick Payton, Cooney? Because no, he's not. I know he came out of high school thin. He's not. Check the pictures. Firewater asks a decent question. How many starters have we taken in the portal so far? Well, Caden Lyles is 1. Bethune is 2. Again, to me, versus a toss-up. I think he's definitely in the 2 deep, but a full-blown starter game 1, not too sure. So I won't put Jared Verse. Since I only think McLean is the only, it'd be interesting to see if Micah Pittman gets wide receiver 2 spot. I'll say for now he does. So what is that? I say Lyles, Bethune, Pittman. I think Bless Harris. I just think he's going to be your starting guard, though. I think Bless Harris will be the guard there. So that's 4. And am I missing anybody? I don't think Greedy Vance gets the starting role. But we'll see there. I'll say 4 as of right now, unless I'm missing a name or 2. Bring in the numbers on the D line. Let him fight it out. Play time. POLK, what about Nesta? Nesta would come in. First of all, I don't think Nesta would come. I don't know if they're interested in Nesta, but Nesta would come in and be a valuable rotation piece. I think that's I don't know, but I think that's one of the reasons why he left Miami, because he was getting passed up on the roster. The rumor had it that Nesta was one of the ones complaining about the young guys passing him up on the roster during the season. I'm pretty sure there's a bunch of Miami fans in here that's going to correct me if I said anything wrong right there. The reason I bring that up, though, however, Nesta is at best the third defensive tackle on this team. He ain't better than Fabe, and he definitely, I don't think he's better than Coop. So valuable rotation piece, absolutely. He would come in and instantly be our third guy, and he'd be versatile enough where you can line Nesta next to Cooper or Fabian. But he don't come in here and be the number one starter, and I think that was his issue at Miami and why he's trying to look for a different landing spot. Personally, I think he should have stuck it out there because unless he's going to like FAU or UCF, I'm not sure I don't know where he's going to land in the Power 5. I mean, we'll see. He probably should have stuck it out in Miami. I didn't even plan on talking about Coleman, man. Don't believe the hype. Told y'all from the jump about that. Don't believe the hype on Coleman. Let me catch up in the comments. I'm actually pretty far behind. Y'all got the comments going. No. With a year in the program, Patrick Payton, I expect him to play big minutes. I think he'll be there, man. I think he'll definitely be competing. Boxing Monster says, I heard Cuban Jesus got half the team from the Army Bowl signed. Here comes the trolls. If Pokey and Helton aren't starting at a spring, do you think they hit the portal? Or are they? I don't think. Here's the problem. Where are they going to go? But I think Pokey is a valuable rotation wide receiver. I want to keep Ontario Wilson. I've been my problem with Ontario has always been he's not a number one. To rely on him as a number one is why we've been in this position. But Pokey rotating in that slot and even at the 2 position at times, I think he's a valuable asset. Helton, I don't know. And I actually like Keyshawn Helton, as you know, but he's small and he might be getting passed up, man. Doesn't make sense, does it? Nest and Lovett would spare each other, but he ain't coming here. Nesta will give you 1 or 2 plays a game. That's about him. Okay. I said this a while ago. That Nesta was Miami's version of Marvin Wilson. But at the time, Miami fans weren't trying to hear that. Now you see this comment here. He'll give you 1 or 2 plays a game. Nesta ain't entertaining FSU. We have Robert Cooper on the roster. Nesta to JSU. It could happen. It would be cool to see. But here's my thing about that. Here's my thing about Nesta going to JSU. What does that prove to NFL scouts? That you couldn't crack the rotation at Miami, so you went in JSU and maybe dominated, but the NFL ain't JSU. Miami's playing closer competition to the NFL than JSU. I don't understand Nesta leaving, especially to go to a lower tier program and just so you could ball out against lower tier competition. It ain't gonna get you no further, no higher up in the NFL draft. No, I wouldn't say I don't care for him, Coop, but I've kind of said that I'm not as high on Verse as a lot of people. Still a good get though. So let's get big fast on both lines and we will be okay. Shout out to Peter Shields for the $5. It says, let's get big and fast on both lines and we'll be okay.
Clickety clank, clickety clank. The money goes into my piggy bank.
You think Norvell? Probably. I mean, why not? There was a dead period, but I don't think they just let it die. I'm pretty sure they reached out and just wanted to peep his still level interest. I would say he did. Unless the rumors are true that he's already signed, which a lot of people tend to believe that he's already signed. I don't know. I think he's already signed, but that doesn't mean he sent in his LOI. And I heard this, and I think this is a valid point because this happens a lot. Kids a lot of times sign multiple LOIs, and once they make an actual decision, then they send it in. Coleman might have actually signed 1 or 2 LOIs, but I think if he would have sent them in already, we would know. That would have leaked. I think he's signed. I just don't think he sent it in yet. And I think he may have signed more than one. And I think he will announce and then send it in after the game, or have parents send it in during the game, or however, I'm pretty sure they don't do fax anymore, and they're gonna probably just send the stuff over email. So I remember you used to have to fax that stuff in, but I think he's definitely signed an LOI already. I just don't think it's been sent in yet, which means it's not binding as of yet until he sends it in. Nesta's a dog. Best wishes to him. I'll tell you this. I seen Taylor make more plays than Nesta in his career. Can't front Mario, who got 3 kids committing tomorrow. At least my guy speaks Spanish, unlike that. They love them some Mario because he speaks Spanish. Bro, I forgot about that. Is Alex Atkins the right man for the OC job? Yeah, absolutely. Catching up in the comments. Nesta's way too small at the next level. Was Geno Atkins way too small? Is Aaron Donald way too small? It ain't got nothing to do about his size. It's about, a lot of other things. Is he talented enough for the next level? That's the question. Hell, Warren Sapp, was he way too small, since we're talking about Miami defensive tackles? Oh, Dugan's got to go regardless. Even if he lands Coleman, Dugan's got to go. I agree with Tyler. Dugan's got to go. So somebody brought this up earlier, so we'll go to the next comment or the next topic of discussion. And this is going to lead to a different part of the discussion as well. But Chubba Purdy, man. Chubba Purdy, I agree, Montre. I think they just mad that he left, because now all this stuff is coming out about he don't make plays and he too small. I don't know. When just this time last year, they were telling me this man was better than whoever. But anyway, let me get to what I was talking about. We'll let y'all talk about that in the comments. Chubba Purdy, man. And this is why I think the NCAA needs to. I like the transfer portal in the sense of, I think these kids deserve the opportunity to leave, especially when you see the coaching and how the coaching carousel worked this offseason, right? This coaching carousel this offseason was absolutely crazy. Once that first domino fell with Lincoln Riley, it's like everything else just said boom. So I think the transfer portal is a good deal, but it's got to be some regulations on it. And one of those regulations, I believe, is kids shouldn't be allowed to transfer during the season anymore, because Chubba Purdy has been in the transfer portal for damn near. When did he get in the portal, y'all? The right before the NC State game. When was the NC State game? Was that in November? We're in the January. Everybody else is finding homes in the portal. And this kid, Chubba Purdy, he was supposed to, I know he went to Pitt and somebody else committed to Pitt. Now, I believe they were saying that he might go to Nebraska. Well, Nebraska just had a quarterback commit there. Purdy's getting left by the wayside here. And unfortunately, you would have thought that Chubba Purdy, older brother is Brock Purdy, who at one time I believe was a NFL prospect, but I think this last year has killed Brock Purdy's chances in the NFL. He still may get a chance to be a guy that holds a clipboard in the league, but nothing more than that. But even so, he's got an older brother who's gone through the process. And this is what I talk about with a lot of these kids. They get bad advice. Purdy got bad advice. So wherever Purdy goes now, he's not going to start. So why didn't you just stick it out at Florida State? You would have Purdy would have legit competed with Jordan Travis in the spring to be the starter. That was my take from that all along. Now, Purdy may come crawling back. If I'm Florida State, would you take him back? I would probably take him back. But now he's back at square one again. That's been Chubba Purdy's problem. Square one every time. Gets an injury. Square one. Re-injures himself. Back to square one. Now you leave the team for an extended period of time. You can come back, but guess what you're going to do? You're competing with A.J. Duffy and Tate Rodemaker for a second string now. When what you could have been doing was competing with Jordan Travis to be the starter. Now, somebody brought up Purdy. And like Zoe just said here in the comments, I understand he didn't get the start, but with the way Milton looked, Purdy would have got to play in that NC State game and maybe won the game, maybe have a chance to win that game. At some point, Mr. Chubba Purdy, and just not even Purdy, but a lot of these kids are being really led astray. And their parents aren't the right guys to lead them because their parents don't know especially when it comes to this football stuff, their parents don't know their foot from their elbow. A lot of times the parents are the biggest detriment to kids because they make them believe they're more than what they are. Purdy needs some guidance. I don't know where Purdy ends up. I would take him back. It alleviates having to run through the portal and try to find another back. I would take Purdy back, and Purdy has been in the offense. So at least he knows the playbook. But Purdy has to make a decision now. Because it's springtime, baby. A.J. Duffy's on campus. And he's licking his chops to take somebody's spot. Tate Rodemaker is kind of make or break for Tate Rodemaker at this point. This is going to be your third year going in. I don't know what to make of it. I would take Purdy back, but it just shows that there needs to be some rules and regulations on this portal. One of them being you can't transfer during the season. Once midnight strikes after your team's last game, hit the portal all you want. I've also been one of those to throw out, you get one free transfer. But after that, man, just go check. If you don't follow that stuff on Twitter like I do, I mean, if you follow it on Twitter, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's guys that have hit the portal the last 2-3 years, and it's ridiculous at this point. The program's not the problem, son. You are. If you're the class of 2019 and you're in the portal for the second time, the program ain't the issue. It's not that you're not being given an opportunity. You might just not be that good. Your head might not be in the right spot. So there's that as we talk about Chubba Purdy. And that's unfortunate for him, to be quite honest with you. But at the same time, it's kind of like, you hit the portal with having nowhere to go. It doesn't look like a lot of teams are very interested in you. I think they don't, and I think they're not interested in you because of a lot of things Florida State people have talked about with Purdy, not really being dedicated, party too much the past offseason, did instead of working to rehabilitate, hasn't really been locked and focused. I mean, if you know, you know. This isn't the first time this stuff has been said about Purdy. Again, if you know, some of y'all are in those Discord groups, and some of y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. And again, disclaimer that I give you, I am not an insider. I am just a light-skinned dude on YouTube that give my opinions. But I hear things like everybody else hears things. I'm not saying it's true, not saying it's false, but rumors are rumors. With all the stuff about Purdy, again, not being totally dedicated to his craft, completely re-injuring himself and things of that nature. And then you see the way he just dips in the middle of the season because he didn't get the start. What coach would take that? But maybe I've talked too long about Chubba Purdy at this point. Let's get to the comments and see what y'all talking about. Chase Playcool says, what running backs are we looking at in the portal? Do you really think, let me ask you a question, Chase. Unless, so Jahmyr Gibbs is gone. He's at Bama. Zach Evans committed to Ole Miss. Unless you're getting a legit bona fide difference maker, I would not waste a scholarship on running back. I think a running back room is really solid, quite frankly, and is deep, and I would not waste a scholarship on it. It's funny because I remember going back and forth with people in live streams about Ja'Shawn Corbin and how I was a lot higher on Corbin than a lot of the fans were. They didn't feel like Corbin was that good, and I kept telling people, no, man, Corbin does a lot more than what y'all are giving him credit for. And now it feels like we all are kind of desperate for a running back. You're not the first person to ask about running backs in the portal, and I just don't feel like we should address it. I think Treshaun Ward's an overall better runner. Corbin might be a better overall player, if that makes sense. You got running backs that's a better runner of the football. I think Treshaun Ward might be that. But I think Corbin was a better pass blocker, pass protector than Treshaun Ward, better receiver than Treshaun Ward, and things of that nature. So overall, Corbin might have been better. But I think as a whole, I'm excited to see DJ get opportunity. I'm excited to see how does Toafili come in looking after the spring and whatnot. Weight gain any bit? I mean, excited to see Toafili. I think Rodney Hill is another player that people are sleeping on there. And, I mean, maybe one day we'll see what Corey Wren does if he ever does anything. What's your thoughts on A&M with the $30 million? The thing about the NIL for me is that I don't think this stuff is like brand new. A&M's always had this money. I think the only thing that is with it now is that the teams that they don't have to be discreet with it. And because they don't have to be discreet with it, players who may have like you might, like in the past, a player might have been like, damn, I want that money, but I don't want to face whatever when people thought the NCAA could actually do things to you. I think players were hesitant on taking that money in some aspects. Now, knowing that it's free game, I think, it is what it is, but a lot of this stuff has been going on for years, and not even at the major programs. I knew FAMU used to give out Camaro. I know people that went to FAMU and got Camaros. Like, this stuff has not just started, put it to you like that. So I don't really think, I think you either get with it or get lost. Like, not a big deal in my opinion. A&M, you saw what they paid to get Jimbo Fisher. There's no surprise that they're going to pay. It don't mean they're going to win anything. Jeff with the $5 says, what I heard that he would have started against NC State. He was in the portal. So he hit the portal after Milton was named the starter versus NC State. Remember, Travis had the flu, and once Milton was named the starter is when Purdy hit the portal. But shout out to Jeff with the $5.
My name is Jeff.
Like I said, if you know, you know. 130 people in here, by the way, hit the likes, and I am terribly behind on the comments. So let me scroll. Like I said, if you know, you know. This, again, there's no way for me to sit here and confirm any of this, but Tallahassee's a small place. Tallahassee's a small place. And like someone said earlier, I don't know if that was Brandon, but I saw the comment and I can't remember who said it. But instead of Purdy would go all the way home instead of staying in Tallahassee and rehabbing and all that. Again, he handled the situation completely piss poorly, in my opinion. So there's no surprise, in my opinion, why Purdy's in the situation that he's in. You ain't lying, Kane say. That football game better be on fire. They've been doing it for years. The great myth out there is that Florida teams need to keep, or Florida teams used to keep Florida kids home. It's a great myth. Florida kids have always gone other places. And at the moment, it's no different. Now, can you keep some of the best guys home? That's the difference. But Florida kids have always gone other places. I mean, look, Ohio State since the 80s has had a pipeline to South Florida, man. Like it's always been like that. Trey Sanders is well worth the pull. What's up? What's up, Les? Trey Sanders ain't. Remember last year's great. Trey Sanders is gonna hit the portal, and that Trey Sanders ain't hitting the portal. Y'all stop that. You know who else lacked the extra gear? Devontae Freeman. Trayshawn Ward reminds me almost identically of Devontae Freeman. Devontae Freeman lacked that same extra gear. I find it interesting. Dante Anderson, he's in Tallahassee too. Like he seems to be fine with not being on scholarship. I don't know the conversation he had with the with the staff on why he's not on scholarship and he's preferred walk on. It's crazy to get a 4-star as a preferred walk on. I think a lot of that has to do with his size. He's small, 6'3", 200 pounds. I'm interested. Can Anderson convert to a linebacker, to a stand-up linebacker? I think he's a project player. I'm not even sure he's a defensive end. I think they might kind of move him and see if they can make him a linebacker. Interesting. Purdy broke his collarbone again doing keg stands, and his people blamed FSU for it. Also didn't know the playbook and dipped during the year. Nope. Good luck at the group of 5. I think Caleb might follow Lincoln Riley. I don't think so either, but I mean, he's on the team, so I just throw him out there. 131 people, man. Hit the like button. They're saying Gibbs already practicing with Bama and looking. Of course he is. He's a damn good player. I'm mad that he went to Bama. I find it. I would have rather them stayed at Georgia Tech. Make a difference somewhere. Like these kids killing me, man. Always riding the wave. I thought when he initially committed to Georgia Tech, obviously you wanted him at Florida State, but I'm like, okay, Georgia Tech's that's kind of cool. You can go to Georgia Tech and build something. You leave there after a year and then you go to Bama. It's like, well, I couldn't build my own thing. Let's just go be another cog in the machine. But that's how these kids are built nowadays. Corey Wren to FIU or FAU. No, I don't. Was Wren was an attacker guy? I don't believe. So maybe not. Got to be some regulations, man. NFL has rules like salary caps. This is the wild, wild west. Once you start putting salary caps, now you're talking about playing the players directly. This no longer becomes amateur sports, which it's kind of not been amateur sports for years anyway. But you get what I'm saying. Shout out to the Canes fan, man. It's getting to the point where it's becoming the job of the fans to pay the kids. I think it makes football worse. Okay, yeah, we back on that. Next year, Florida schools will keep all the great for the kids in state. That's true. Look at Louisville. They got a lot of their players from Florida. Ohio State got both Bosa brothers. They're from South Florida. LOL Polk said our kids they've been leaving for years though. Y'all remember who Freddie Mitchell is? He's a Polk County kid. Freddie Mitchell. But he was like the number one receiver in the country. Went all the way to UCLA. I can name a ton of Ohio State running backs that were like all from South Florida. Listen to some of the old Miami, old heads from Miami. Nebraska used to be deep in South Florida. Always used to come in there and get got. Like this isn't brand new. You go look throughout the history of the sport. A lot of the teams, when Nebraska was on top, they were getting kids out of Miami and Florida. This isn't brand new. I know we like to make it believe like it's brand new. This isn't brand new. It's been happening for over 20 years. It's not going to stop. What Miami and the Florida States and the Floridas have to do is still get your top guys. But even the top guys are going to leave the state. I've talked about this a ton about this. Florida is not Mississippi. It's not Alabama. Hell, it's not Texas. Florida is a retirement state. A ton of kids who are in the state of Florida, their parents are from up north and or parents or grandparents are from up north and they retired in Florida. Whole family ties are in the north and they just so happen to grow up in Florida. That's why these kids go back to up north or other places. They don't really have family-wise, they got people all over the country. Whereas if you're from Mississippi, you're from Mississippi. Whole generation is probably from Mississippi because nobody goes and moves to Mississippi. Nobody goes and moves to Alabama. Like that's the difference between Louisiana and in the state of Florida. You're talking about a retirement state versus people that probably a good amount of people never even leave their states in Mississippi, Alabama's, Louisiana's. And that's just the truth. Who y'all got Monday? I mean, your head says Bama, but your heart says Georgia. Well, my heart has nothing for either team. I have a hard time seeing how the game plays out. I think it'll be a closer game, but I have a hard time seeing how the game plays out any different than what I originally said. Bama by 10 in the SEC championship. I'll go with that in the national championship. Georgia keeps it closer, but yes, we should. Yeah, it's more that the Florida players in the top 100 are getting way more of them going out of state than in the past. Those recruits don't care about building programs. They want to go to the league. Corey Wren is gone. No, he's not. Back in the day, the best Florida kid stayed home, and the lesser known went out of state. Now it's reversed. That's not necessarily true, but like we've talked about it, I kind of talked about it already. Less than 9 wins is a coaching change in your opinion. Deion is a 5-star magnet for FSU at worst. If he gets 8 to 9, he's fine. 7, the seat's hot. 6, he's got to go. Anything less than 7, I would say he has to go. 7 is kind of like, okay, but 7 at least gets you that bowl game. Yeah, so And again, no, Dion. Look, man, I'm not even going to do the Dion thing. Dion's not coaching here. Carlos Hyde from Ohio State. Mario Williams. He's from Plant City. If FSU gets Coleman, they could say a lot about Atkins. It would be interesting the again, I'm not saying we get Coleman. I've been telling y'all about Coleman forever. But pipe dream, let's say it was to happen. I'd be interested on the backstory of how that would close. Yeah, I mean, and Chris Carter played 20 years ago. That's my point, Kerry. That's my whole point is that Ohio State's been in the state of Florida for over 2 decades. Again, Nebraska was in the state of Florida in the 80s and 90s when they were dominating college football. Nothing's new. Nothing's new. I think, unfortunately, the Florida programs have been down, so maybe the amount of kids leaving is a little bit more because the programs haven't been as well off as they used to be. But this isn't Tommy Frazier. Yeah, this isn't like groundbreaking stuff here. You ready for the 12 team? After this year, do you think a 12 team is worth it? Michigan flat out embarrassed me in that Georgia game. I was pissed off watching that game. I wasn't mad that Georgia even won. I was mad that Michigan looked so bad in that game. It was embarrassing. Jason says, what's the weakest position group on D? Great question. I think at this point it might still be linebacker, but we are improved. Now with the linebacker, I think you got your 2 starters, but who's behind those guys becomes the issue at linebacker. I'm not sure linebacker position is necessarily deep. I like our defensive line depth, especially with getting verse. I like the defensive line depth across the board. I like our defensive line depth across the board. And I think with Jamie Robinson coming back, I think our secondary, again, all we got to do is figure out who's taking who's taking Jarvis Brownlee's spot. Jarvis Brownlee cannot go into the fall as a starter. My early prediction on that corner, I think your 2 corners are going to be Amarion Cooper and Azariah Thomas. That's just me, though. But I think you're deep on the D-line. I think you're deep in the secondary. I think you're thin at linebacker, but I think you got 2 legit starters now. 6 wins, and Norvell might as well update. Yeah, I agree. 6 wins, he might as well yeah. And again, I think 7 is still like, we'll take it, but I'm talking 7 regular season wins is like, no, sir. Like, that's a hot seat. 8 regular season wins, I think he's comfortable there. Is Mike Norvell a Sigma male? I don't even know what a Sigma male is. What up, Joseph? Nelson Aguilar. Happens all the time, bro. Please let it go. Coleman's committed to Miami weeks ago. He's just waiting to get his 5 minutes of fame. D-line is the biggest question mark. I don't think so. I think defensive end is the biggest question mark. I think your interior's locked, especially if Fabian Lovett comes back. There's your 2 starters. I would keep Briggs personally. I probably would keep Briggs in the middle. And we saw Jarrett Jackson and Malcolm Ray. Does Joshua Farmer start kicking in? And I think Bishop Thomas might be a true freshman on that D-line to try to get some. I think you're a year ago today, I was pissed off at the defensive line room. That was before I really, saw Jarrett Jackson and Malcolm Ray actually step their play up this year. I think you're legit about 4 or 5 deep, potentially 6 deep at defensive tackle. I think you got some good numbers there. Again, I think you might. I think at DN, your question is who your starters are, but even there, I think you're at least good in the 2 deep rotation at defensive end. Sidney Williams. No, we ain't gonna kick Akeem. I'm not kicking Akeem Dent. I like Sidney. I think Sidney's a good backup to have. I think there's no reason to change. Listen. I'm gonna break it down to you a little bit, Zoe. I don't think it's a coincidence that when they moved Jamie from nickel back to safety and paired him with Akeem Dent. Now, Akeem Dent obviously took advantage of a situation that Sidney Williams ended up getting hurt. But those were the best. That was the best combination out there. I don't think that's a coincidence. I don't know why you would put Sidney Williams and mess up the chemistry that Akeem Dent and Jamie Robinson, I believe, built over the last half of the season playing those safety positions together. So Sidney Williams is good to have, don't get me wrong. But Akeem Dent is my starter until someone proves it otherwise. Travis J, I don't know where he fits in the defense next year. I'll be completely honest with you, Kerry. I don't know. I do not know. Island Boy, how you doing? Clifford, Raphael, Captain Spalding says he can see us having a top 25 defense next year. I got to see it in action. I'm not gonna jump the gun that far. But if you can give me we finished, I believe, just outside the top 50 in defense this past season. I believe we're the fifth. I think we finished 55. So let's get top 40. Brownlee got more heart than the mother boys. That's why he keeps starting. Needs somebody with more talent to step up. I would like to see Brownlee be in the 2-deep rotation with Kevin Knowles in the slot at nickel. But we have to get somebody on the outside that can actually cover down the field when the team wants to stretch it, go over the top. We need somebody that can actually do it. Will we ever get something out of the great Damori Tate? If he don't do something this spring, again, Brownlee's up for grabs. That spot, in my opinion, is up for Hunter Washington, Damori Tate, Azariah Thomas, Greedy Vance, maybe. I don't know. Somebody needs to go take that spot from Jarvis Brownlee. We'll see. Linebacker still the weakest point on D. I tend to agree with that, especially as, knock on wood, something was to happen to one of your two starters at linebacker. Then you're kind of right back to square one with Lundy and Steven Dix and these guys. So how does Scum... Oh, he's talking about Miami. Okay, we'll skip that question. You can't show me 5 acceptable losses. You just can't for a year 5 coach, year 3. Next year, year 3, again, I talked about it, man. I don't see a lot of people are, 6 wins would be. I think those are the pessimistic FSU fans. If you legitimately look at that schedule, and I'll even take LSU out of the conversation, who I think will be a very winnable game because that LSU roster is not going to be the same. That LSU team is not going to be the team that that we saw when they were clicking. But let people tell it. For some reason, LSU will figure it out, but we won't. Louisville's bringing back Cunningham. I guess the NC State quarterback's coming back. So those are 2 tough games. And even with look how bad our quarterback play was against NC State, and we probably should have won that game if we had any quarterback play. Louisville, man, we came back and made that a game after the defense was sleeping in the first half, and then some rumored things happened between Randy Shannon and Adam Fuller and Chris Marv and the crew. And all of a sudden, that defense kind of locked it up a little bit in the second half. We'll see. We don't play North Carolina. We play Georgia Tech. Well, that's a dumpster fire of a team there. You think Mario's going to come into Miami year 1 and win 10, 12 games? Yeah. Miami fans might. Realistically, hell no, that's not happening. Florida, same thing with Billy Napier. He letting legit talent go, and he's bringing in talent from the Raging Cajuns. Speaking of them, we play them next year. And Napier's getting all their players to transfer portal and come to Florida. Man, there's no way you lose more than I agree with Tyler. There's no way there's 5 acceptable losses on that schedule. There's just not. There's just not. Well, I've been saying moving Travis Jade to receiver. Jerry Jones he tweeted at Jamie Robinson when he declared that he's coming back. Let's run it back. So Jerry Jones looks like he's still locked in. We'll see, man. But I've been talking about Travis Jade, the receiver, for a while now, but maybe it's not happening. You said out of Belgrade, Santonio Holmes went to Ohio State. And I know we keep talking about these Florida players like if this is brand new stuff. Santonio Holmes is actually a classmate of my wife. He went to Belgrade Central. Yeah, and he went to Ohio State. This stuff has been happening for years. $10 wins or else. Start talking to Mark Stoops. It depends. Sigma is a quiet alpha or mysterious alpha. Oh, okay. I don't know what Mike is then. It depends on the 7 wins or who they are. They have wins over Florida, Clemson, and Miami. I think he gets a pass. I mean, I guess. But if you can beat Florida, Clemson, and Miami in the same year, then can you justify losing to Wake? And you already, Boston College, you know what I mean? Syracuse, like you can't justify, you know what I mean? So if you can beat those 3 teams, you can pretty much beat any team on your schedule. It's kind of where I'm at with that. Defensive end definitely taking a step back, but it can't go back to how bad. I don't think it will. Jerry and Jones better not see. I agree. Every time I see number 7 in my secondary, my heart drops. I'm not even going to lie to you. And that's okay, though. That's okay. You need guys like that. You have the player to at least win the AC. You have to play, I think, to at least win the ACC. Somebody says Sydney ain't no backup. Well, hey, it is what it is, but I want to see Akeem Dent. It's like, man, y'all really don't. Y'all been trying to get Akeem Dent out of here for 2 years. Give Akeem Dent his credit. Yeah, we got a good problem in the DB room. I agree. I don't think Travis J got on the field when we played y'all, Chad. If anybody else remember, because I don't. Tim says, afternoon, fellas. Hope everybody had a safe new year. Working in great favor for all. All right, 226 Sim. Appreciate you. Before we get the season this year, Tour of Duty starts next Friday. Ronaldo Green's still on the roster. He that's it. That's it. But he was hurt last year, but he lost in the rotation right now. Gainer again. I don't think the thing about Gainer is he's not lost in the mix there, Ardavius. He has a starter position. The problem is, and if anybody can help me, but as 2 years watching this thing, I can't understand that stud position. I don't know if it's a strong side backer that they play on the edge. The position I think needs to be eradicated from the roster is the problem. But that stud position, I don't get it. Lundy has already reached his ceiling, in my opinion. I don't know. My thing, you might be right, Kerry, but my thing about Lundy is I never thought his ceiling was very high to begin with. So you probably are right. Do you think Cortez Andrews can crack the linebacker rotation? I think he played a little bit last year. I kind of hope not. I much rather see people might not agree with me, but I've seen enough of Cortez Andrews and Steven Dix and DJ Lundy. Like, I'd rather see Brandon Gant. Give me Gant, man. Put 10 pounds on Gant, let him pay at 215 and give me Brendan Gant. At least I know he can run. Give me Jadarius Green McKnight. At least I know he can run. That's just me, though. I think I heard he is coming back. They said that it was at halftime of that Louisville game that Shannon is when Shannon it's not like an argument. I don't want to pin it as like they were fighting. But Shannon's input on the defense started having more input on the defense. I know they are. What up, Yella? No, he said he's running it back. He said he's running it back. I mean, they were supposed to pencil in Miami as a loss, and quite frankly, Jermaine Johnson almost single-handedly beat Clemson. And if Jordan Travis doesn't get hurt, we probably beat Florida. So, like you said, man, anything can happen. I think my opinion on the basketball team is the stars are starting to realign. The universe is starting to like come to back to normal. And as the basketball team gets sacrificed in front of the millions of fans this year, next year the football team will rise from the ashes and reclaim its glory and plant that Seminole flag or plant that damn spear on the top of college football. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, Chad, fair enough. Sunbelt offensive line, fair enough, man. I'm not arguing with you. If you think that Sunbelt offensive line transfers to the good, big, bad SEC, I ain't worried about Nate, just like you said. That's all. He from Pensacola, even though Pensacola is really Alabama, but will better receivers naturally improve our secondary play, or at least give us a realistic? Yeah, I think like I say, iron sharpens iron. Yeah, better receivers in practice, all of that, absolutely. You wonder why the damn DBs couldn't cover down the field last year. Who the hell they had to cover in practice? Andrew Parchment? I think if Gant doesn't break the linebacker rotation, I think he's probably going after spring. Don't disagree. That's if he can't break the rotation. As much as Brownlee sucks at coverage, Jerry Jones is the worst DB on the roster. Dent can't seem to get out of the doghouse with at all, bro. Y'all tired of Dent. I hear you. I'll be the one Dent supporter going forward. I don't know why Dabo's so stubborn there. Like I said, I don't understand the position. You think we're going to be ranked this year? Let's hope so. Hell. Exactly. That's why I like the move. What more likely in 2022? A 500-yard receiver or a defensive end get 7 or more sacks? I mean, I would hope that would be the bare minimum for both position groups. I tell you what, if we want to win 8 or more games, I think you need at least one receiver to crack 500 yards. So, but what's more likely? I'll go with the 500 yards. I'll say that's more likely. I don't think we're going to have one dominant DN this year. So I think they might get more penetration by committee more so than, Keir Thomas and Jermaine Johnson just wreaking havoc every game. I don't know how big Gann is. Last time I checked on the official Florida State roster, I think he was listed at like 205. That's what I said. All you got to do is get up to 215 and throw him down there at linebacker. Who you see we get next in the portal? A QB. QB won't happen till probably the summertime. QB is not going to happen till spring if it happens. I would like to see a D tackle, but if the right linebacker's out there, I wouldn't mind getting a linebacker. There's a bunch of P5s going after the guard. He might not even end up at UF. I hear you. I'm just saying. I hear you, though. Not saying he's a bad player at all. Dabo wants his control back. He doesn't like the players having any power. Now he wants to work harder as a coach just to even keep his roster together. If we put up a bunch of points in that first game, they might rank us to sell that LSU game. We should put up a bunch of points against whatever Danimals Yogurt High School, whatever, Dunkin' Donuts, Dunquist, whatever school that is. Do we get another surprise receiver? I think they're going to target at least one more receiver. Yeah, he said that he was initially recruited and then Florida State kind of fell off on him at the end. I think Keir came out the year that Jimbo left. I think somebody can correct me on that. Next position of needs to be DN again. I kind of disagree there, but that's just unless like we got Jared Verse, who's a good pickup. Unless you're telling me the next defensive end in the portal is Jermaine Johnson-esque, I don't think you need to waste another scholarship on DN. It's time to start developing what you got on the roster. If you got to keep replacing DNs in the portal every year, last year we took 3. And they did a good job in those 2 of the 3 that they picked. The third one has already transferred out. Last year you took 3 in the portal. Why do you need to take another 2 or 3 this year? 1 is a good number. It's time. You got Patrick Payton, you got George Wilson, you got Byron Turner, you got Chambry Jackson. You recruited all 4 of those defensive ends. Time to start developing them and get them on the field. If you can't do that, then the staff, they're failing anyway. If you got to keep taking portal guys at the same positions every year, that means you fail to develop your players. We talked about that at the beginning. Good player with high potential. I'll say it in a nutshell. I agree. But that should be the only type of guy that FSU is really targeting in the portal. There should only be 2 type of guys that FSU is targeting when it comes to quarterback. A guy that knows he's coming in to be the backup, or a bona fide guy that's better than Jordan Travis. Sorry, Jordan Travis. We all love you for 4th and 14 and all that other stuff. But if we can get a bona fide guy that's just flat out better, you get him, or you get a guy who understands he's coming in to be the backup. What we don't need, and I am vehemently against, getting another quarterback in here that's going to compete for a starting spot. You know why? We've seen it 3 years. Well, what would be 3 years in a row? And what have I continued to say about Mike Norvell? You can have a bunch of things you like about Mike, a bunch of things you don't like. The biggest indictment on Mike Norvell is his handling of the quarterback since he's been here. Every year he has mismanaged the quarterback position. My hope is that we don't do that this year. Well, let's make it easy, and let's just let Jordan Travis have all the confidence going into game 1 and 2. Duquesne. Okay, Dunkane. I'm calling him Duncan. I'm calling him Dunkin' Donuts Academy. But Duquesne, gotcha. I think Verse is not going to come in and be the guy that people expect him to be. It doesn't mean it's a bad get. It just means Verse is still developing, man. He's only played 1 year of college ball at Albany, of all places. To be, I mean, let's keep it. Let's put it in its proper perspective. He's going to be playing at the Power 5 level next year. And again, Derek McClendon and Quayshawn Fuller ain't going anywhere. They're not going to just come in here and let them take his spot or let him take their spot. Verse is going to have to compete. If you're expecting a 10-sack season out of Verse next year, then you might want to change your expectations. Who's our number 2 tight? Great question. Who fills the number 2 tight end role? Jordan Wilson became very valuable by the end of the year. That's a great question. I don't have the answer. We got a million of them. They better figure one out, but I don't have the answer. I'm with you, Polk. We need to start developing players, especially at receiver. You see Travis selling those $80 mugs, lots of kids launching NIL stuff, and you gotta support it. Hey, if I could make this comment here even bigger on my screen, I would. And if I could highlight, we gotta support. If all you people that be in the comments talking about Florida State need to compete with the NILs of other, we talking about freaking A&M dropping $30 million bags and all of that. And I remember people asking, well, FSU's why they ain't putting the money towards recruiting. If you want to do your part, I'm not trying to dictate what you do with your money. Like me, I'm not buying an $80 mug, man. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I probably wouldn't buy it. But I already bought the 4th and 14 shirt. Like, just support. These kids are going to be dropping their little clothing lines, and they got their own brands. $10, $15, $20 on something like that. And if you like the mug, buy the mug. Like I said. But you got to support it. You got to support it. We will stop depending on the portal when we have top 5 recruiting classes. That's not how that works. Hey, toast. I'm drinking some water to that. That's a fact. Even Bama uses it. But look who Bama takes in the portal compared to who some of these other schools, including ourselves, are taking in the portal. Bama's not taking a Deuce Spann. I like Deuce Spann, don't get me wrong, but he's another project guy. But Bama's taking a guy like Jahmyr Gibbs, who's going to come in and play right now. Last year, they took that 5-star linebacker playing right now. Like, that's what Bama's taking. Polk, what do you think the outcome would be with our 2022 team versus Jackson State 2020? We don't even know. You're talking about Deion's team next year? I don't know. Probably run over them. 42-7. Yeah, better not take a transfer tight end. Okay, Jackson West. To your point, it's Norvell's fault because why did we start the season with James Blackman? Why didn't he just start, like I said prior? You can go back and check the tapes. Don't know if you were watching me 2 years ago, but I was here. Didn't have the same following. I didn't have 120 in the chat. Probably had 20 in the chat. But I said Jordan Travis should have started game 1 against Georgia Tech that year. Now, my thought process was because Chubba Purdy, I said you could start Jordan Travis, ease Chubba Purdy in there when the time's right. But I never wanted James Blackman. Norvell's at fault because he started Blackman, and then from Blackman went to Rodemaker, and then finally ended up on Jordan Travis. So you're right. It's not like he was left with a stock full of QBs, but he mismanaged the ones he had, damn it. Just buy something. I didn't buy one, but my dad did, and I already got a shirt from Travis. I'm curious to find out how much money Travis made of that 4th and 14 gear. Cam had 24 for 250. That's actually a huge jump to tight end numbers for us, at least a few years, and considering a solid compared to the average college tight end. We will still use the portal, but won't be dependent on it, is my point. Yeah, but you don't have to get top 10 recruiting classes to, or not even top 5 recruiting classes to do that. Just develop what you got. Just develop what you got. I like Den at safety. It's Jimbo's fault for marrying a woman. That's true, too. Jimbo, you married a woman with a stripper name. Like, good point. How many TDs does Johnny have next year? Ooh. I'm going to go 8. I don't know if he breaks double digits, but I'm going to say he's the major red zone target, and I'm going to say 8. How much I want to bet the beat writers are going to be selling Duffy all off season. My hope is that Duffy's not even QB2. And that's not a knock on Duffy. That's just my hope that we can sit Duffy for an entire year without him having to worry about anything. I honestly, man, I hope Rodemaker. I just hope he's a viable backup. I'm really hoping that Rodemaker can become a viable backup. I'm not asking him to be the starter. I just want him to become a viable backup. Blackman went from having potential to being a disaster in a year. It was more than a year. That happened over the course of his career, but it's unfortunate. 2 years ago, I was chasing red bone 48-inch yams all over DFW. Were they pogs? So I know how you get down. Seen a video of Duffy walking up to FSU and wasn't impressed. I know you're a freshman. He'll get bigger and grow into his man body, but he's definitely not playing year one. Well, he's also a quarterback. If you saw Mac Jones, quarterback for the New England Patriots, would you be impressed? Dude was 21 with the dad bod. He's a quarterback. I'm here to say that it doesn't matter. That body type don't matter. You think 10? I don't know if he breaks double digits. I don't know if he breaks double digits because I have a feeling in the red zone, Atkins. And again, I say this saying or believing. I honestly believe, and you can clip this. You can laugh at this. I honestly believe next year, especially if they can get an offensive tackle, a legit starting offensive tackle in the portal, I legitimately believe you're going to have the best offensive line you've had at Florida State since 2013. I think already with Caden Lyles in the middle, Gibbons coming back, Robert Scott and Darius White, like I already believe you're going to have maybe the best offensive line that you've had since 2013. I already believe that. So we might be a heavy run team in the red zone. Does Micah Pittman, he doesn't become wide receiver. I don't see a situation where he becomes wide receiver number 1. 2, maybe. Blackman had a pretty deep ball. Y'all know TK is vehemently against Wilson, man. Vehemently against Wilson. Yeah, I could have. No, Duffy's not playing year 1. Didn't Jameis have a better belly? Jameis was skinny, and Jameis didn't get like that beer belly till he was with Tampa Bay, but Jameis was kind of thin especially as a freshman. Who's going to run the ball? I don't know. The guy who racked up over 500 yards rushing last year as a backup, Trayshawn Ward. Do we not believe in Trayshawn Ward all of a sudden? Do we think Toafili sucks all of a sudden? Do we don't think anything out of DJ Williams? I don't know. The whole offensive line is about to make me hype, man. What's the walk-on got to do with Baker Mayfield was a walk-on, won a Heisman. You want to play this game? We can play it. We can play it. Walk-ons do wonderful things sometimes. Hell, walk-ons playing in the national championship Monday. Starting quarterback. What being a walk-on got to do with anything? I think he's working. He's definitely rehabbing. I saw a video of him. What do you call those things when you run on a treadmill and it's got like this air bubble or something around you? I'm not even sure what that crap's called, but I know he's rehabbing his. I think it was like an ankle or something, right? So I know he's rehabbing that. He might not participate in the spring. Definitely won't participating in the tour of duty. But I don't think he'll be out next year. Come the fall, he should be ready to go. We got Ward, Toafili, Douglas, Williams, and Wren. Right. Apparently Ward a walk-on, so he's no good, apparently. It's crazy, but apparently that's the case. Ooh, shh. Don't tell him none. Don't tell him none, Damien. Corey Wren get a screen pass. Maybe try the wheel route. I would like to see him on like give me something where he can stretch his legs out. I don't want to see him in the screen. But you give me something, throw him on a goal wheel route. Yeah, I'm with that. I think he's got no choice at this point. Even if he doesn't want him, he got no choice, especially next year. Walk-on almost won the Rose Bowl this year. He could. I don't know if they'll use him or not. What are you talking about? Oh, Corey Wren. First time we saw Ward in the spring when he was still a walk-on and he sauced up the whole defense. Clearly a scholarship player and had offers out of high school. Was a Maryland commit at one point. Again, don't tell him none. Don't tell him none. I agree with that. If you don't want Travis as your starter, at some point, he should have brought in a quarterback already. He should have went balls deep, balls to the wall on a quarterback in the portal. Because at this point, you're too late because the spring semester has already began, or I think maybe you have like still another week or so. At this point, if you don't have your quarterback, your future quarterback here for the spring, then he ain't your future quarterback. At this point, Jordan Travis is your quarterback next year. One of my all-time favorite Gators was a walk-on. I'm not saying he's not good. Who would you say has the most talent in our backfield? Highest potential, I still think, is Toafili. That's just me. I think Norvell likes Travis. He hasn't gone after any portal guys. I think he does too. I think the notion that he doesn't like Travis. If he didn't like Travis, there's no way you would have entered the spring with Jordan Travis as your quarterback. Speed should be playing no matter the size of the player. I don't necessarily agree with that. But with that said, give me football speed over just track speed, because there's a difference. All better QBs basically committed, and the high-level guys left in the portal ain't considering FSU. I mean, you can say that because he's not targeting. But had they targeted a wide receiver, and again, Mike Norvell and company would have went and recruited him, who knows what could have happened. I don't think they went out and vehemently recruited any quarterbacks. So with that being said, I think he understands that Jordan Travis is his quarterback game 1 against Dunkin' Donut University. Travis is going to improve, in my opinion. I just worry about the depth. If he gets injured, it's a wrap, Gerald. Absolutely. Any word on Brandon? He's committed to Kansas State. FSU is increasing the support staff. My prayers have been answered. Now give Storms everything he and his team needs. What Parsons will be 2023. He'll be in the next recruiting cycle, right? Yeah, 23. This was 2022. This was Tribe 2022. Parsons will be Tribe 23. If you're really that fast, you have to find a way on the field. The coaches are watching them play football at practice, not run track. And Norvell always mentions Ren being fast, so it makes fans hype. And yet he hasn't seen the field, so that tells you what? That he ain't a good football player, right? At least that's my opinion. Malcolm Ray made my underrated pick due to stud. Okay. What's up, Believe Beats? How you doing? You think Verse can impact right away? I think he'll be in the rotation right away. I don't know if he's net. I don't think you can pencil him as a starter day 1. Everything being equal. I'm with you there, Tyler. What's up, John White? How you doing? So I would give look, Jared Verse. Hold on, what am I looking at here? Okay, never mind. But I would say I would give this staff so far in the portal. Let's look at it real quick. Why not? I mean, let's do it. 2, 4, 7. I think somebody even came out and said FSU is ranked number 1 in the transfer portal. Like I don't know if they were being funny or if that was like a legit rating. But regardless, team rankings. Actually, no. Yeah, let's go. Team rankings. Florida State. And at the very bottom we have, as of right now, FSU has 8 transfers. Y'all guys want me to bring it up? Here, I can bring it up so you guys can see what I'm looking at. Hold on. All right. They landed Jarrett Verse, who... So they do their own little ratings here in the portal, as you see. Verse was not ranked coming out of high school. Now he is considered a blue chip portal guy. So he's a top guy. Then Bethune, who for whatever reason the transfer portal, maybe because he wasn't in the transfer portal long enough. But like you see the next 3 guys here, the transfer portal didn't rank them. But all of these guys were 3 stars coming out of high school. Jamie Vance, a.k.a. Greedy Vance, Deuce Spann, and Tatum Bethune. Johnny Wilson was a top 100 player coming out of high school. They took a star away from him here in the transfer portal. Micah Pittman was another top 100 player coming out of high school. They took a star from him in the portal. Caden Lyles was a legit 4-star coming out of high school. They took a star from him. And then Bless Harris was not ranked coming out of high school, and they got him as a solid 3-star. If you look at these guys, man, I think, again, 1, 2, 3. I think 1, 2, 3, 4. I think for sure 4 out of the 8 guys start day 1. I still believe Bless Harris starts day 1. I personally believe Bless Harris is your starting guard day 1. Because he doesn't have a lot of eligibility. Matter of fact, I think Bless Harris is he a grad transfer? Bless Harris, I don't think he has a lot of eligibility, if much. He has to play this year. Bless Harris is going to play. I think 4 out of the 8 right now for sure will start. Potentially 5 if Jared Verse does win one of those defensive end jobs. Kansas State. That's a neutral site game. I think a solid B plus. I would give it a B plus as of right now. I think even I said 5, about 4 to 5. I think 4 for sure out of the 8. That's still 50%. And even some of the guys that like Johnny Wilson, I don't know if he starts, but he's going to be definitely in the rotation. Deuce Span we'll see there. I think he's more of a project, but he's an electric athlete. We'll see what they do with him. Grady Vance is another interesting one, but I think Grady Vance is going to be in a rotation somewhere. Transfer portal champs back to back. Span reminds me of Deion Kane. He will take a top off the defense, big vertical threat. Yeah, B plus. I agree. The B plus thing. TK really hates Wilson. Yes, he does. We know this. TK does not like. TK does not like Wilson, and that's okay. That's okay. I think a solid B plus though, man. I think we hit a solid B plus in the portal so far. And guess what, guys? I still don't think the portal's done. That's to be extremely clear. I still don't believe the portal's done. William Washington, how you doing? So we went 2 hours strong, and somebody Bless Harris has 2 years left. Okay. Even so, I think he's going to try to see the field year 1 for sure. And yeah, like Firewater just said, there's another portal hot period. So really, as of right now that the spring semester, so all the guys that you saw right now in the portal were guys that were trying to get into schools to be a part of the spring and spring semester. So now you're going to have a specific group of kids who are at their current institutions. Once the spring is over, they play their spring scrimmage. And once they realize, like Dylan Gibbons did last year, right? If we just want like an example, Dylan Gibbons, once Notre Dame had its spring, realized he wasn't going to be a starter, and they were probably going to continue to use him as a rotational piece there. He said, "Nah, well, I'm gonna transfer out. And I'm gonna go go to a place that didn't have a lot of good offensive linemen, and I'm gonna compete and try to get a." I think that's what you're gonna have again this year. You're gonna have the same situation where you're gonna have guys that don't compete. That they compete for their jobs, and then come spring, once they realize that they lost that job, they lost that position, and you can get some good quality players in that. You can get some good quality players in that that second hot period after the spring. Would anybody in the chat take JT Daniels? You're talking Georgia quarterback, correct? Why would we not take JT Daniels? Is my question. Yeah, I would take him, and he doesn't have to sit out the year because the transfer portal doesn't make you sit out anymore. Philly, how you doing? Happy New Year. Jeff with a $10 donation. Doesn't say anything this time, but just wants to drop me some money, and I appreciate you, Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
Check it. I think next might be something special with a pie. What? Am I tripping here? Or he deleted that comment. I don't know what that means. He's a statue. The offensive line, we need a true dual threat. That's okay. Georgia is about to have some transfers. I hope so. I would love for that. I would love that. So there you go. I'm just answering questions at this point. I think we've kind of hit all the talking points. Again, Jamie Robinson, talk about him coming back. It's a big deal. Talked about Bethune. We talked about Verse. We talked about Chubba Purdy and that fiasco. Yeah. Sammy Lance says, bro, I swear people talk like our O-line didn't give our QBs plenty of time to throw last year, and it's only getting better. All you got to do is go back and watch the tape. I was telling y'all all year last year, just go watch the tape. That was my issue with Jordan Travis early on in the year. Was running out of pockets that he had no business running out of and things like that. Do you think with more injuries that the offensive line just magically got better by the end of the year? It didn't. But go watch the tape between the first half of the year and the second half of the year. Jordan Travis got comfortable in the second half of the year, started actually sitting in the pocket, stepping up in the pocket, resetting his feet when he would scramble. That's the difference in Jordan Travis. First half of the year, second half of the year. That's why they make these games. That's why they take these games. All you gotta do is go back and watch it. Alabama is beating Georgia. I got Alabama winning it. Man, Ohio State love Florida guys. Always have. Georgia 31, Bama 27, says TK. So glad Jamie coming back. He's a dog. Bethune and Deloach going to ball out. Sammy, I agree. Tired of the old line slander. Odell getting a new contract? Probably. Hope Dugans doesn't, but I think I spoke on this. I think Odell's like on a year-to-year basis at this point. I don't think they're going to fire him. They're just going to let him walk away when he wants to. FSU O-line is clearly better, but folks won't see it that way until we win more. Then they won't rely on the outdated take. Check it. I believe with a few more pieces, we got a shot to make the ACC chip game because we almost beat Clemson, and I still ain't scared of Wake Forest. I hope you ain't scared of Wake Forest. We will beat Clemson. People say UF had a bad O-line too, but Jones had all day to throw. His picks and their running game was strong for the most part. Not sure how some people judge O-line. They judge O-line just based off of a guy gets sacked or not. That's how they judge it, Chad. They don't actually look at how the game's being played. Like a lot of times we just look at the sacks and say, oh, but we don't look at the way the quarterback's playing the position. Is he holding the ball too long? Making poor decisions, scrambling in the pressure. Jordan Travis had a tendency to scramble into the pressure as well. Like a lot of those things come into everything, right? Everything. FSU had legit bad offensive lines. Taggart's first 2 years, and I'll say Norvell's first year too. Even though Norvell's first year, it got a little better. I think this had to do with some of the guys actually maturing. Last year, against the good defensive lines like Clemson whooped them and up front. Not gonna lie to you, but you take one game in Clemson and say, okay, but for the most part, as a whole, if you look at the way Florida State's offensive line played last year, am I saying that it was an A+ O-line? No, but it was better than it had been in previous years. So I was grading. I think I gave my preseason grades at one point, so I don't remember what I graded, but I think I might have given the O-line a C or something like that. Like I think the O-line was adequate. It was good enough with better quarterback play. I'll say that. Y'all go to Hulu, watch that movie Peoples. It came out in 2013. Me and my girl watched it tonight and couldn't stop laughing. Enjoy. Hey, y'all go check out Peoples. Odell has a lifetime contract. Please, Lord, let Travis stay healthy and have a Lamar Jackson type of year. Hey, if he does that, then sky's the limit. I'm sorry, but Happy Feet held on the ball way too long. Was the O-line good? No, but we weren't even that bad last year. That's my point. I'm not saying the O-line was, a top O-line, but it definitely wasn't a bottom O-line, bottom O-line either. But I'll take a few more questions if y'all got them, or a few more talking points if y'all got them, and if not, we went 2 hours plus, so I'm gonna call it a night from the Rainbow State here in Hawaii. Brad Banks, Iowa Heisman runner-up, Glade Central. This Georgia versus Alabama game remind me of the rematch of Florida versus FSU in '96. Hard to beat a team twice. How many times Norvell have to show the dunk how to get the wide receivers before he just go ahead and show him? Well, there's no point of firing him at this point. There's no point of firing him because his contract ends at the end of this month. So there's no point of firing Ron Dugans. You just let him play out his contract, and then you go hire someone else. It saves you having to fire a former FSU wide receiver, right? It saves you that. So you can say, we never fired him. We just, whatever. So, do you think we see Duffy versus Dunkin' Donuts University? We might. I expect that to be a blowout. Like, wholeheartedly, there's no reason why that game should be close. I would say, man, I would actually just say, man, just play Rodemaker. Let Rodemaker get all the snaps he needs. Hopefully we have a better season. Man, it's only January. We got a lot of offseason to go. We don't know how this roster is going to end up looking. I think if you're a Florida State fan, you should be fairly happy about the way this roster is currently shaping up, in my opinion. And I see people talking about Dustin Hill. So that is my cue. Yep. That is my cue to get up out of here. It is only it's about 4:47 here in Hawaii, 4:47 in the evening. But I saw Dustin Hill, so that is my cue to get on up out of here. As always, man, I thank everybody for coming here in the chat and having a good old conversation with your boy. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel again if you haven't subscribed, and share these videos. Share them. It's your boy POLK over here on 863 Seminole TV. Yes, Damien. I saw Dustin Hill, so it's time to get out of here. We ain't even doing that, and we went over 2 hours. So, as always, it's your boy POLK over here on 863 Seminole TV. Stay classy, Seminoles. They doing good things in the portal again. I mean, Jared Verse, good get. But stay classy, Seminoles. And we out here. Go Noles. Again, this might be the last time y'all see this background. I might do one more video before I got to make that move, but this might be the last time y'all see it, man. But as always, man, go Noles. And I will catch y'all next time. We out here, baby.